But there is an awareness of somethingness, right? Awareness of somethingness.
Awareness is a function which is only is a function happening in the dream story which maintains separation. I'm aware of sitting on a seat. The me experience is sitting on a seat, or is aware of sitting on a seat, which is duality. I, one, am aware of sitting on a seat.
No, I was talking more about somethingness. Is there somethingness or nothingness? Something.
There's only everything and nothing. There's nothing in everything, but they're one thing. There isn't nothing being everything. There is nothing everything. Because nobody wants to ask a question. It's a it's God. God's sitting there. You just can't see him.
Yes. Okay, I will ask them. There are so many books written about the subject, who am I?
There's been a book written about the subject, who am I? John Klein.
Many books, many teachers
Yeah.
tell us to ask, who am I?
Yeah.
And
Self-inquiry.
self-inquiry is. So, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind.
It's a process. It's a teaching. It's a process in the story.
I'm the invisible. Illusion.
The only thing that can arise out of that sort of teaching is an understanding, which is all part of the dream.
Mm-hmm. And when we wake up in the morning, when waking up in the morning, out of the dream, there is the next dream.
There is.
The next dream, daydream and night dream. No? All is a dream. It's all.
If there's a me, the me wakes up and thinks it stopped dreaming, but it's in the dream of me.
Mm-hmm.
That's why sleeping is better.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not around in there. Tom.
If there's seeing that nobody is seeing or driving or doing something, is there still somebody to realize that?
No, not at all. The brain functions when the car's being driven. There's nobody driving, there's nobody doing anything anymore. All there is nothing and everything. All there is what is, you could say.
But the realization that there's nobody seeing or looking or driving or walking, is there still somebody to realize that?
No, not at all, no. There's a recognition at the point of the death or the apparent death of the me, although it's not real, but there never was a me. And there was never any need for a recognition or a happening at all. And all there is what is. But there's no sense of there being anybody there. But to recognise that there never was anyone.
Can you describe it? when there's no personal experience? No.
It can't be described because it's unknowable. It's simply not of the world of description. It's not. And people, when this happens for people, they also say to me, I can't even tell you what this is. I can't tell anybody what it is. It's amazing because it's absolutely obvious and yet it's totally indescribable. It's not, you can't ever put it into words what it is. The only other way you could say it is it's the opposite of being separate to the form. So, like when you as a me, you are here, I am here, and the floor's there. It's the opposite. It isn't that at all. There just is floor. There's nobody that knows there's floor. There's nobody that is the floor. There's just floor. That's a very simplistic way of trying to get us near to this. So the floor is the beloved. The floor is wholeness. The floor is wholeness. Table's wholeness. She's wholeness. Your wholeness. But they're not for anyone. So it's totally, it's a total at oneness, but there's nobody in it. There's nothing that is separate. These are all different ways of trying to, but they're sort of negative ways of there's nothing that's separate. But there's nothing that knows that, of course, anymore. So directly, this voice tries to describe it. It would sound as though it knows what it is, but it doesn't. That's why the only way to describe it is a negative thing, saying there's nothing separate. It doesn't describe it, but it says what it isn't.
So you said that experience is individual.
For to be an individual, there has to be an experiencer. And my experience, thank you.
So the universe is about those bubbles.
Oh, of course. Anything that the individual experiences is simply actually only an appearance. But for the individual, the universe or this floor is real.
But there's nothing else but this experience, or is there?
No, there's only the experience of a real floor.
So you could say that all these bubbles add up to a foam.
Sorry?
All these bubbles of experience add up to a foam. Like if you
Add up to
foam.
Oh, it's quite.
a whole.
Foam.
Bubble bath.
Like in a bubble bath.
Oh, foam.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could say that, but none of it's meaning. It's all meaningless anyway. It's not really happening. It's only a dream that the real I am, the floor is real. The experience of the floor being real is simply doesn't. It's a dream. It doesn't have any content.
It's quite odd. So we can never know anything but our own bubble.
Your breakfast. Nobody can ever know what your breakfast was like. You can describe it to them, but they wouldn't know. They won't know what your breakfast is like. It doesn't matter because it's completely meaningless. You actually had a meaningless breakfast.
That's good enough for me. I had a lot of that.
What about our light body?
Light
light body.
You don't have a light body.
No?
You don't have anything. But all the time there's a me there, a self or an I. It thinks it has all sorts of things. Intelligence, a light body, spirituality, all that crap. All those ideas that the me is a rich man. Jesus said it's more difficult for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. He isn't talking about money, he's talking about ideas, concepts about me and what I have and what I don't have, where I should go and what I should be like. That's all the content of a rich man. So it's bullshit, absolute bullshit. But the individual is real. So a light body, I've heard of other sorts of bodies as well, that me apparently has. And of course, the thing about it is for the individual that the light body is incredibly significant and important. And always often you hear the argument that I have a lighter body than you do. How light is your body? My body?
And what about the aura?
Same thing. The aura the aura is the same thing as the light body. My aura is I've got a very bright one up here. And also, what's the other thing? Chakras. People talk about their chakras. I used to be in that world. I used to know that world. I was in the Osho thing. It was all about chakras and auras and all that sort of rubbish. and so I knew about that world and how people discussed it. But it was the same world as being rich or being famous. It was all levels of success that you had with auras and chakras. It was hierarchy because you're living in a polarized existence. So there's better and worse. Progress, towards nothing. And also the other thing that was important was to have a very important master for some people. The master had to be very famous or important in some way or other and have some special gift. I mean, I know somebody who was in the Osho world who said Osho must have been enlightened because he didn't blink. And apparently he didn't, but it's a yogic trick or training not to blink. You learn how not to blink. If you really want to be important, then you don't blink. And there are all sorts of levels of importance that these apparent masters or teachers took on, or still do take on. There's still Osho. There are still lots of Oshos around, or apparent gurus.
Our master has pink socks.
Sorry?
Our master has pink socks.
No, well, I didn't want to say anything, but I hope you noticed. Where can we get them? Oh, you can't get them. No, you have to be enlightened. When liberation happens, which by the way it doesn't happen, but when it does, when you wake up in the morning, there are the socks.
So you say that there are no people.
Well, there isn't anything. But apparent people, there is an appearance.
And that is obvious to no one. But isn't it a mystery that there are all these?
Sorry?
Isn't it a mystery that there are all these?
It's only a mystery all the time there's someone to be mystified. It's a mystery for the seeker. That which is separate, what we're talking about is a mystery. When there is then the energy of seeking or separation is there more, there isn't anything to be mystified. There is only what is.
So, for instance, the fact that there are all these separate experiences of this room is not a mystery over there.
Oh no, well there isn't it over here, but there obviously isn't a mystery because it is all there is. So how would there be anything that would step outside it and be mystified by it? Whereas the me, the self, the I, has artificially stepped outside of it by believing that it is real and that the room is real. So it's then mystified by something that's unsatisfying about seeing the room as real. Most people wouldn't admit that, but anyone who's sensitive begins to feel dissatisfied by the experience of the room being real, because it isn't. So they're mystified by why they see it as real, and they're even more mystified when somebody else suggests to them that the room is real and unreal. That's a mystery for the seeker. How can the room be real and unreal at the same time? It's a paradox.
So,
How can there be empty fullness, in other words?
So, saying that it's a mystery also is another word of a dissatisfying answer.
It's a
dissatisfying answer.
all the answers are dissatisfying. There aren't any.
Because they're not answers.
There's no answer. All there is this. The questions don't get anywhere. The only thing about the questions that you could say could happen is a deconstruction of the beliefs you hold on to. That can possibly happen through questioning. But it's still only all you've reached is another understanding about the reality that you have been living.
Less of nothing.
Yeah, not what anything.
And where to go from there?
There isn't anywhere to go to. There's nowhere to go to. This is it. There isn't anywhere to go to, there's nowhere to come from. All there is this. It's immediacy. It's the immediacy of this only. There's no journey to this. The sitting in this.
A half-life
Right?
between deconstructed individual.
Well, it's still only an individual who's deconstructed. It's worse than being an individual who's living happily in the illusion. Much better to leave right now, actually, I suppose. Have you paid?
just want to say that I have had this thought sometimes, why did I ever come here? Because since then, there's so many things I don't believe in anymore.
Yeah. That can happen.
And,
But still, it's not progress.
yeah. But still, this thought arises, why did I come? It is kind of...
But essentially, this isn't really about, I did say at the beginning, this isn't about dropping beliefs or anything like that. That can happen. Essentially, it's energetic. So, you know, in very simple terms, the me comes here with a contracted energy in the body. It's a sense of contraction. And when people are gathered together in a way, and there's an openness to the possibility of something that's beyond the me seeking, then there's an openness to a boundlessness which is everywhere anyway. And it's possible that apparent contracted energy can soften in that. It doesn't matter whether there's belief or not belief. That's really got very little to do with it. It's possible that contracted energy can suddenly just, it's only apparent, it's not real, but that apparently contracted energy can suddenly just evaporate.
And something else, I notice it, I have the feeling that the me kind of, it has the feeling it's gaining something. So
Gains.
it has the feeling, so I come here,
Right.
and often I feel better, or I feel relieved, or there's some, so I feel like,
That's energy rather than anything. Yeah.
but then it feels like the me thinks, oh, I'm gaining something.
Yeah, I would do.
And it makes a story out of it.
Yeah, the me is constantly turning what's being said or feelings in its body into some sort of idea that it's getting somewhere. It's constantly hungry to get to somewhere because it believes in some way or other. Well, what was it done? Because it's living in dualism. It absolutely believes there's some way to get.
What should I do?
Now, what shall I do? Oh, come on. You're not serious.
No, I know, that's the
Yeah.
part of this. That's
Yeah.
a little bit like, so why am I coming?
You're coming, possibly, I suggest, in order to find out something. The seeker comes to get something. It's possible that the seeker even can walk out of this room and at least understand that there's nothing to get. There's still an understanding. It's
It's all that we can do.
there's no one. No, it's just nothing you can do. Otherwise, the suggestion that there's nothing you can do implies that there's someone who can't do it. It's not, there is no one. There's no one sitting in this room. This doesn't recognise that there's anyone here. There's no one here, there's just bodies. There's no one here. But one body might put its hand up and claim to be someone, and then there'd be a response. Or, there isn't anyone here. You there maybe, because let's presume, you think you are someone, therefore you recognise other bodies as being other someones. That's the dilemma you live in. Everything is a something. You live in the dilemma of turning everything into a something that is real. The wall, the body, the person. I don't live in that, well, I'm not here, but There is no dilemma of that sort because all there is oneness, so there isn't anyone. That's why there's no agenda here. There's nothing in here trying to sell anything or get anywhere at all, because it's quite obvious already. Because there's no one here, there isn't any way to get. It's called unconditional love.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thanks.
So that you were mumbling and grumbling.
Mumbling. Thanks. That's what I wanted to hear.
Oh, right.
What is time? No. What is time like?
Well, if there's a me, the me thinks it's going to die. It's afraid of dying, or it doesn't like the process of dying, because it thinks that it's going into something in the future called death, which it doesn't understand. Because there's no one dying. When the me dies, which say is the end of the brain functioning, because it's the brain that has constructed an artificial me and maintains that artificial me. When the brain ceases to function, then what ceases to function with it is the artificial or the illusion that there is a me. And there
Is it like deep sleep?
no, not like this. This is death. This is death. This is what is. So when the body dies, all there is what is. But previously to that, if the me is there, the me thinks something is happening. When up to the point when the brain collapses, when the whole idea that something is happening, including me, ceases to be there, then all there is what is. This is what is. It doesn't have to be. It's what it is. It is what is. It's indescribable, but this is indescribable too. It's only knowable to somebody who is a me. So that the me would say, I know that this is a room full of people. I'm sitting on a chair and this is what's happening to me. Because it thinks it knows what's happening. And there's nobody that knows what's happening. So all there is what is, which is death. It's the end of the idea that there's someone alive.
Tony, you sometimes talk about what happens here as being something cellular.
Cellular.
Yeah.
You right? What do you mean by cellular?
I was going to ask you that.
Oh, I don't think I've used the word cellular. Why? Why use the word cellular?
Well, never mind then. But the me being some contraction, some cellular thing.
Well, it's a contraction from a boundless, an apparently boundless energy into an apparently contracted energy. I don't quite know what the connection with that and something cellular is. It's energetic, but it's only apparently happening.
So what's a good question?
Sorry, what is the question?
What is a good question
Oh, there isn't one.
to you?
There aren't any
Is
good
there-
questions.
Yeah.
Well, they come out of something in the seeker which it wants an answer for. And in this situation, it doesn't really get a satisfying answer because there isn't one. It's looking for a way. If it was a question to a teacher, like self-inquiry teacher or whatever, then it would may get some advice as to what it should do about where it wants to go. That obviously wouldn't happen here because there isn't anywhere to go and there isn't anyone to advise. In a way, the answers here, if you listen to the video or whatever, will always point you back to what is, or they point to what is. They can't point you there. You can't get there. But,
Looks like it.
yeah. In a way, all answers reinforce the utter and divine helplessness of the seeker.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Mm. And what can come out of that is the sudden comprehension that there's nothing to find.
So then no question is the best
And it's
question.
possible, and many people come to these meetings and never have any more questions. It's all over. That doesn't mean they're all over. But the questions are over. There's no way to, there's nothing to ask anymore. And often in a residential or even what's happening here, what happens in a 3 or 4 day residential is there's more and more silence. It's like checkmate.
Yeah.
And then there's something else going on, which is beyond questions.
For what is it good? For what is it good to lose the illusion of I? If
No,
everything
It's no good at all.
is not good at all.
No.
So the Brexit still exists.
Sorry?
The Brexit still exists.
Brexit still is. Brexit is the only thing that's real. And it's the only time I believe in God is every night I kneel at the bottom of my bed and pray for no deal. Yeah, that's why I'm not getting anywhere.
I always have the feeling that everything is on autopilot.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
And that my thoughts are simply some weird add-on to the actually happening story that doesn't really fit, you know? The true story is not put together. And the only thing, so what's happening and my thoughts collide usually, and it's just a resistance of whatever is happening.
Yeah, that could arise in it, but in fact, actually everything, in a sense, is programmed because the physiology of the person or the body attracts whatever happens to it. And there's nothing that the individual can do. The individual that seems to come out of that after birth can't do anything about the physiology of the body that's already set in the DNA and so on. So what happens is is inevitably, apparently happening because it comes out of nothing. It comes out of nothing, it is nothing, and therefore what seems to happen is completely without purpose. It's not going anywhere. But it apparently happens through the apparent physiology of the person.
Like it's set in stone.
Well, you could say that, but that's not quite it, yeah. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
It is inevitable. Nobody does anything, it just happens like that. Appears to happen like that.
And thoughts just make it worse.
Well, the thoughts are only another thing that's happening. There's nothing uniquely or special about thoughts. For me, the thoughts have a huge influence.
Yeah, I mean, in a sense that I do not like what's happening. You know,
No.
when I don't.
Okay.
Right,
No.
and which is like 80%.
Yeah, well, that's normal for me.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So my thoughts tell me,
Yeah.
And this is bothering me really bad. So,
Right.
and this is when we start going into meditation. That's my theory,
Yeah.
right? To get rid of the constant stream of
Yeah,
idiocy in a way.
to try to. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that why in enlightenment circles, meditation is such a common tool to get rid of?
No, well, it's a common belief that enlightenment does that, meditation does that, but enlightenment circles are already in the dream because there's no such thing as enlightenment. So all the meditation he's trying to do, or using meditation, is the same as anything else like getting rich or finding a new lover. It's just another experience that the me would like to have. And for a little while feels good, but only for a little while. Nothing lasts. There's no escape.
But actually, there can be no escape to out of everything. You cannot escape out of everything. Right?
No, you can't escape out of everything.
Because it's everything.
Absolutely. How could you escape from everything if you are already everything?
Exactly. So.
It's wonderfully open.
Yeah.
It's wonderfully open. Because then, in the end, as a recognition that that's just what is. Whatever you do, there's just what is. There's a 5, 3. Thank you.
Tony, are you sometimes still telling jokes at the meetings, or does it not happen anymore?
I didn't hear that.
Are you still sometimes telling jokes because you used to at the meetings?
No. Doesn't seem to happen at the moment.
No, not even about marmalade.
No. This whole thing is a joke.
Yeah.
It's the one big joke. I'm telling one big joke.
But I have heard this one many times. I'm bored of this one.
The one with the bike was good.
Yeah.
But you got tired of it.
No, it's just that telling jokes doesn't seem to happen at the moment.
I just wanted to try.
Although there was a lady that So there was a guy sitting in first class, professor, and this gorgeous, gorgeous woman sat next to him. So he thought, I want to impress this woman. So he talked to her about everything he knew, his knowledge, amazing knowledge about the world. And she sat and listened and nodded politely. And then in order to really impress me, he said, well, look, I'll tell you what, if you ask me a question and I can't answer it, I'll give you $50. And if I ask you a question and you can't answer it, you can give me $5. So she said, yes, all right. So he said, so how far is it from the Earth to the Moon? And she thought it wasn't her world, really. So she said she didn't know. So he said, all right, well, you have to give me $5, so I gave her. So she sat there for a little while and thought about this game, and then said to him, so what is it that walks up a hill with 3 legs up a mountain with 3 legs and walks down with 4 legs. And he said, well, and he thought for a long time because he knew a lot about geology or animals and all that sort of thing. And insects. He really thought for a long, long time. And he just couldn't find an answer. So he said to her, I just don't know the answer to that. It's an amazing question. I don't know. So she said, all right, well, give me $50. So he gave her $50. You know. So then he, after a little while, he said to her, okay, what does walk up a mountain with 3 legs and down with 4? And she said, I don't know. He gave me $5 back. Silly. It's not true, it's only a pound.
But Tony, the answer, I don't know, is what constantly is in my mind. Whenever I'm asked for next week or why have you done this or why don't you do that, you know, I'm always like, I don't know anything anymore.
No.
I don't come up with my dreams or wishes for the future are not as strong anymore.
No,
to really
no.
come up with a good story, I would believe myself, you know.
Yeah,
That's kind of wings down somehow.
yeah. That's falling away at the feeling
Exactly.
of knowing.
Yeah, exactly. So the feeling of I'm sure of something is
It's not so strong.
yeah, not so strong anymore. And the answer I don't know, which could make me a lot of money.
No.